she like the fact how she just did that blew my mind. Like I didn't.
Not even a millennial. What do they call it? A geriatric millennial? Is that what you are, PJ? Because I kind of felt that was a very
yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't even like try to explain it to you how to mute that. I was just like, Southern, help him.
No, there was no way, because I was looking for like, okay, you have the bar on the bottom, and then you just have a little speaker, and you hit, and it hits the mute, and you got the red line going through it, and you're like, all right, now we're good. I was looking for that, and it's nowhere to be seen. Completely lost. So I would have never looked down to where that was.
I mean, it's kind of become, I hate it, and I hope one day we get away from it, but it's kind of become like the accepted standard for a lot of shows is like, you're going to hear like, especially the shows that use Zoom, right? Because Zoom added the security feature where it's like this recording is, or this video is being recorded.
Right.
And
right.
it auditory, like it says that, to where you can hear it. There's nothing you can do to turn it off. I guess it's like a legal disclaimer for Zoom, trying to avoid like a Shannon Sharp, Julio Jones situation where, listen, this is being recorded. But like that, I've heard on so many shows, not just like podcasts, but actually like syndicated radio shows. I have heard that this Zoom is being recorded. Like you just hear it during the broadcast. It's kind of become much like that. People having their computers up with the volume on has become a part of that. But watching the panic in PJ's face when that happened made me so happy, because it's the same thing that happens to Kevin whenever anything's wrong, right? Is you see the panic in Kevin's face, and he goes, just like hands away, like the computer. It's what it's like. It's going to cause you physical harm, like the computer's on fire, or like if I touch it, it's going to make this situation so much worse. But hey, listen, it's Monday. Good start to the show right there.
If nothing else, gets the energy up, right?
It's all uphill from here.
There you go.
So
true.
We only have Southern for a couple more days, heading back up to Georgia. I know you got to be excited. Get to one last year of cheer, basketball and football.
Basketball, football, gymnastics, and volleyball.
There we go.
So
getting after, I know,
exciting season.
Everybody here following along with the Olympics. We'll dive into that. We do have a doubleheader for Braves baseball coming up today. Maybe the most important series of the season coming up for the Atlanta Braves as they play the New York Mets 5 times. And we have a doubleheader coming up for you today starting at 5 o'clock. We'll have full pregame coverage for game 1 coming up today at 3:55, and then they'll take you into game 1, and then we'll have postgame, pregame, and full coverage of game 2 coming up for you right here on your home of the Braves, ESPN Coastal. All that coming up. But the news of the sports world has not been the Olympics, at least in our neck of the woods. It has been Texas and Oklahoma, as they formally announced that they will not renew their media rights deals with the Big 12. So that will end in 2025. And now the question becomes, when does the SEC vote to accept? I think my first question with that would be, has the SEC extended an offer, or have Texas and Oklahoma reached out? Because the thought process out there and the reporting out there has been Oklahoma has reached out to the SEC, but it's less clear what Texas wants to do. There's been some reports that Texas has had flirtations with the ACC. Maybe that's just trying to drive up the revenue. Who knows? But I guess the next step will be, when does the SEC formally invite them and then vote on accepting them? The running joke with the SEC has been, it's always been unanimous when they do a vote, right? It's been everybody's on board. Does Texas A&M buck that trend for the first time, and you get a 13-1 yay versus the 1 nay being from Texas A&M, because they try to get away from Texas, and here they come again, coming after them. So a lot of questions yet to be answered. But if we assume this does happen, Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC, I guess, PJ, I'll start with you. Is this signifying the beginning of the end to college football, or are we, I'm not going to say much ado about nothing, but are we maybe overreacting with the significance of what this means for college football?
For college football as a whole, maybe. I think, it's huge for the SEC and huge for Oklahoma and Texas, and even possibly Texas A&M with how it affects them. Now, I know we were talking about a lot of big things, a lot of grand scheme things when this news came out and over the course of last week, but I definitely agree that, we do need to be more patient before we start jumping on that, because I'm certainly very reactive to this type of news as well. My mind starts going as like, oh man, now this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and college football, everything's going to be insanely different and possibly over in 2 or 3 years or 10 years down the road. And while sure, that's always a possibility, but everything's always a possibility, right? There is certainly a wait and see approach that we should take with this, and with, everything changing. Could it be in 3 or 4 years? Are we looking at 4 super conferences? Maybe. But there's also a possibility that, like in the early 2010s, right, when there was so much conference realignment, we all thought, oh, it's going to happen now. 16 team conferences, it's happening. It stopped around 14 or 12, depending on what conference you're talking about. There could be a scenario here where, the SEC moves up to 16 teams. They bring in Oklahoma and Texas, and everyone else looks around and says, all right, fine, we'll just stay where we're at. Or the Big 12 goes to try out, where last week at this time, everyone was talking about them dissolving and Big 12 teams going everywhere, and there no more being a Big 12, right? There's a possibility they go out and grab more teams like Houston, SMU, things like that, and build themselves back up that way. Is that going to replace an Oklahoma and a Texas from, a financial income standpoint, a
No.
relevancy standpoint? No, not at all. But there are plenty of scenarios that could play out. And we do need to slow down a little bit on college football is going to completely change overnight, and everything is going to be different, and everything's going to be crazy. So I would slow down on that a little bit, but of course there's a possibility that we have these 4 super conferences in a few years and things look a little different, but it's still college football.
I was going to say, I think when we say like the 4 super conferences, so say, like you said, the Big 12 dissolves. And so you have the Pac-12 absorbs a couple of teams, the Big 10 absorbs a couple of teams, and the ACC grabs Notre Dame and someone else. There's still going to be schools from some of those former Power 5 conferences that would need new homes, and so they would go to different conferences. And I don't think, if you add, say, the quads, right, the quad system or the pod system where it's 4 different pods, you'd have 4 teams, and you play 3 of those teams each year, right? And then you go through 2 different teams from the other pods for a 9-game conference schedule. Well, right now you play 12 games, so you'd still have 3 out-of-conference games that you can go out there and play, so you'd still have the out-of-conference matchups. Southern, when I look at it, Texas and Oklahoma join, from a Georgia perspective, right? Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC. All that means for you is now you're playing Oklahoma once every couple of years, right? Either in Sanford Stadium or out in Norman. And then same with Texas. You're playing them once every couple of years. You're still playing South Carolina. You're still playing Florida. You're still playing Auburn. I think it's huge news, obviously, because it's Texas and Oklahoma, and it's a 16 team, and that number has kind of been the hit the panic button number inside of a conference for a lot of people, especially national media writers, saying, okay, are we looking at a 64-team league, basically, that's just going to leave the NCAA and create their own college football? But just say this happens in 2023. For the viewing experience for an average fan, I don't think very much changes. No. Auburn's still going to come to Sanford Stadium. You'll still hit the road and play Kentucky and Lexington. I don't think too much changes for the viewing for the average college football fan.
Right. And I think PJ kind of touched on it for a second there. I mean, people may not like this, but it's happening.
I guess my question
people
is
are going to learn to love it.
Why? And I think
because no one likes change.
That's exactly what I think it is. I think people loathe change.
Yes. And I think people are going to get a little salty because our players may get more beat up or we are afraid of the unknown. But when it comes down to it, Georgia football will get better. And I mean, the SEC, they're sitting here saying, hey, we're going to make more money.
Well, it's not just football, right? It's
right, it's a business too.
Oklahoma has one of the best softball programs in the country, if not the best. Texas, we've talked about last week, basketball, baseball, all of them. It's unbelievable brands that the SEC is adding here. But I do think people are afraid of change. But I will hear the argument that Kevin says is you don't want to kill the golden goose. Is what makes college football so profitable is that people love college football and will tune in to watch college football. They're not just watching their team, right? They want to watch college football. They're going to watch Clemson play Virginia Tech on Saturday night, even if they're an SEC fan. If you're an Auburn fan, you'll still tune in for that game if it's a top 15 matchup because you love college football. I don't think that changes.
No.
I think you still see all of those matchups. Even if you go to 4 16-team conferences, I still think you change that. I mean, what do you lose? Maybe you lose conference pride. I guess it's like, are you chanting SEC at the GoDaddy Bowl anymore? Like,
which as a Big Ten fan, I don't really care about in the first place. I wish you guys would lose conference pride like today. So I'm waiting for that to happen already.
Like PJ, you're a Penn State fan, right? You're still going to have whiteouts.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
Happy Valley, right? There's Howard Rock is still going to be at Clemson, right?
Right.
Win one for the Gipper is still going to be associated with Notre Dame. Or play like a champion. You're still going to have Fight On at USC going out there. So you're still going to have bands in the stands. Southern's still going to be on the sideline cheering for the Dogs. Like it's those things aren't going away with this. But I understand that some people worry because they're like, eventually – in some future, college football is not going to exist anymore, right? Like, it's just, they're like 100, 200 years from now, college football is not going to exist.
Stop saying that.
But I think for a lot of people, they fear that the beginning of the end. They see the change. I really think what it is if you had separated the things that have happened over this past year into 3 different years, people would have been okay.
Just about to say that.
I think name, image, and likeness hitting and the transfer rule hitting and then Oklahoma and Texas hitting, I think people are just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Everything needs to slow down. I need to be able to absorb one thing at a time, and players making money is already too much for me to absorb. I need you guys to slow down.
Which is crazy because if you look over the past few weeks of players making money and things like that, that was such a huge topic for so long. And now if you've seen over the past 3 or 4 weeks, everything that comes in is just like, oh, great. This guy made this deal. Oh, awesome. This guy made this deal. And all the fans are just kind of like, sweet, good for them.
Well, it kind of drove me crazy at SEC Media Days because maybe 10% of the questions were actually about football. And so the way it works is you have a huge media room. The coach makes their opening statement, and then they open it up for the remaining time 2 questions. And the people who were asking questions like about the depth charts were like kind of getting side-eyed. Like,
right.
Come on, man, we're asking about the wide receiver depth chart. We can ask them another name, image, and likeness question. I was like, no, that's what I want to hear about.
Yep.
Like, that's one of the storylines, I think, is the lack of storylines we're seeing about how good this college football season is actually going to be. You have Cam's guy, Spencer Rattler, out there who might be the best quarterback in the country. Who knows? Sam Howell's up there as well. Matt Corral's up there as well.
Yeah.
JT Daniels is there as well. You have Caden Slovis at USC. You have amazing quarterback play. You have 2 of the 5 best defensive backs in college football in the same backfield for LSU. Alabama might have their best defense since 2016, right? Yeah. Florida has a ton of draft picks on the defensive side of the ball, right? That game in Jacksonville, I think, is going to be a lot bigger than people are paying attention to. You have a bunch of new head coaches inside the SEC. You have a bunch of second-year guys inside the SEC that are coming back. Boston College, mark my words right here, right now. Boston College is going to beat somebody this year that's going to change the landscape of college football.
Yeah.
Right? But we're not talking about that.
Right.
We're not talking about college football 2021. I guess one of BJ's favorite things is macro versus micro. We're going super macro with college football this offseason, and for good reasons, right? You're coming out of COVID. You're going to have full stands. Name, image, and likeness is coming through. Player rights. The transfer rules are coming through. Oklahoma and Texas. These are all huge storylines, but I love college football.
Yeah.
And I think that's the separation that we're having right now is what do you love when you say you love college football?
Right.
Do you love conferences? Right? Do you love
I don't really care.
I'm almost laughing. I'm like, who can sit there and be like, I love
I love Pac-12.
I don't know, man. Look around.
Brick and Anchorman. I love Lamp.
That's all I'm saying.
No. I love Lamp. Like, it's like sure. I love Big Ten. Like, no, man. It's like I love DJ Uiagalelei versus JT Daniels week 1.
Absolutely.
That's what I love, right? I love Clemson's defensive front versus a new offensive line with a ton of blue chippers on it for Georgia. I love that. I love the fact that Auburn season could come down to the fact that you're going to have Bo Nix, who has been a shotgun guy his entire career, having to go under center, and he might not be the starter. TJ Finley might have to take over for Bo Nix at some point this year. I like college football.
Right.
Or I love college football. I love college football, but I love college football.
Right.
Right. And that's one of the things I think we're missing here is we're getting so focused on things and existential crises that we can't
Yeah.
really control versus enjoying what we love college football for, which is really cool out of conference games like USC or UCLA and LSU, right? Auburn's going to freaking Happy Valley this year, man.
Yeah.
Auburn is playing at Penn State, and they play that one as a whiteout.
It's going to be a whiteout now.
So, I mean,
Announced
like-
last week.
Like these are things that would be like top of our rundown.
Yeah.
In any other
Should
year.
be.
In any other year, right? So as a show, and obviously 3 and Out's different because those guys they can talk about what they want to, but as a show, we're going to try to get back more towards 2021 college football. And obviously, as things develop with Texas and Oklahoma, it is what it is. But I think with like name, image, and likeness stuff, that's just going to become background noise, right?
Yeah.
Do we come on here and talk about when Matt Ryan signs a new endorsement deal?
No, as we shouldn't.
So why are we going to come on here when JT Daniels does?
Exactly.
I think eventually it'll be background noise. And it is what it is. You're going to see plenty of articles about it because it is clickbait and it'll get people to go to the website. It is what it is. I like talking about college football, so we're going to talk about college football. We'll also talk about why the Braves are going into probably the most important series of their season so far. Also, we have our first look at some Madden ratings as well. And high school football season is just around the corner as well. I'll talk to PJ Zuko about what he has coming up for high school football season here in South Georgia as well. We got more to come here on Second Down, though. Christian Gokel, Cam Urshery, PJ Zuko, and Southern Brit hanging out with you on a Monday. We'll be right back after this. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside PJ Zuko and Southern Brick. Cammershry on the board today. It's good to have everybody in studio, man.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
This is weird. Like PJ pointed out something. He was like, we don't have enough mics.
Yeah. I was so amped to have 4 people on this. What I even asked you beforehand, I was like, is 4 too much? And you were like, no, let's do it. And then I walked in and I was like, oh, equipment.
Yeah, we can have like 19 people on if it's just on the stream, but we have everybody in studio. I was like, oh, we're running out of space.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
We'll make it work.
No, Kanye brought us back there. Good song selection by Cam, because you guys know where Kanye's residing now?
Atlanta, right?
Well, like
No?
it's in Atlanta, but you know where in Atlanta he's residing?
Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, he's living
Let's go.
inside Mercedes-Benz until he finishes his album. Apparently, they have like set him up with like a studio, rooms like where he can stay, and a private chef that's cooking all of his meals as well. So I mean, Kanye,
What life is that?
like living out of Mercedes-Benz. I mean, if he goes, I guess if that thing goes like platinum, or I guess Cam, what's like the biggest, wins a Grammy, right? If that thing wins a Grammy, it will have more championships out of Mercedes-Benz than Georgia.
Right.
So
right.
there's that. Or I guess it would tie it.
Well,
tie
I mean, my thing is like probably when he puts out the album, there's going to be like 15 songs or whatever, and the first 12 are going to be amazing. The last like 3 or 4 of them,
Oh God,
probably
PJ.
going to be rough.
Or it's going to be up there in Grammy voting, and then it's going to get upset by someone last second.
something like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Just don't watch the 4th quarter of the album or overtime.
So like if it's 12, if it's a 12 song album, the first 9 are going to be great.
Yeah.
And the last
I almost
3,
I thought of that, and I almost like didn't want to say because I mean I like you guys, but I had when
you?
something like no, I really do. But sometimes you got to rag on your friends a little bit. You know, it is what it is.
I heard PJ. I distinctly remember an Ohio State Penn State game not too long ago.
Absolutely.
That had very similar feels to it.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know who texted me during that game?
Yeah, that's true.
When Penn State was up? Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point. Southern I don't know if you're as neurotic as we are, but if your team, a team you care about a lot, is doing well in a game, like can you watch it with other people? Like if it's a big game, can you watch the games with other people? I know you have to be there for Georgia games, but if it's like
Right.
another team you care about, do you watch games with other people, or are you watching it by yourself?
I watch it with other people. I'm more of a
What
silent, like
psycho.
I let my team win, and then I just like, that's it. I just
So what team just like makes you emotionally vulnerable? Like for me, like Georgia football, there's something wrong with me. The amount I let it emotionally affect me. Like what teams are that for you?
obviously Georgia is that.
But you
for me.
have to be in the
But
stadium
Georgia
for
Southern, I'm
Really?
a big Georgia Southern fan. Obviously, parents went there, but
that. So Georgia Southern's playing App State. You're watching it with people?
yeah, I watch it with people. If I get upset, I mean, I don't know. I just don't. I get into it. I'm very competitive, but
Okay, if Georgia Southern loses a game, does it ruin your next week?
no.
Like until they
I mean, it makes me upset. and
until
I
they
get
kick
pissed
off again, are you just mad
I'm mad.
for those 7
I'm
days?
angry. I call my dad.
For
I
those
bench.
7 days,
Right.
like
Yeah.
PJ, don't talk to me for that week.
Yeah. No,
It's not a good feeling.
I think that's the other thing is because it's like it's where we work. So you
No,
know
even outside of that, like before I even started here,
yeah, that's understandable. I've tried.
Is it? I feel like it's not. I feel like
No,
there's something wrong.
Well, we're all college football fans, right? So it is understandable.
But Southern
to us.
is a
You-
college football fan as well, but I feel like she's a healthy college football fan.
Yeah, I
I
would
think
say
Cam's
that.
a healthy
I would
college
say-
football fan.
I'm trying.
You can't watch with other people? Oh, yes. High five.
Oh my
Cam.
gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cam's weird like we are.
I'm like actively trying to get there. Like I'm actively trying to get that mindset. But
To where, like, because you do watch games with other people.
I do.
But it's family.
I've worked on that a little bit. There are people though that I can't watch games with.
I
Like,
agree to that statement. There
Yeah.
are people that I strictly will not watch games with, but like we were saying earlier, I like the game of football. So though my team may not win, I still appreciate the game,
Yeah.
the love of the game.
No, see, like if Georgia gets smoked by someone who's like clearly better than them, I'm okay by Wednesday. But like,
right.
but when they lose to South Carolina and Jake Fromm throws 3 interceptions to Israel
then I'm throwing
Mukwamu,
things.
yeah, like I'm not okay for that whole like week.
Well,
Maybe it probably takes like 2 weeks because I need like a win between that loss and then the next game to come up for me to like start being mentally okay again. Because, and again, I'm not proud of this at all, but like, I'll go back to 2016. Watched every Falcons game by myself.
Don't blame
Like, did I miss a couple regular season games for like events with friends and stuff like that? Sure.
Okay.
Once the postseason started, shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
When the Falcons are playing, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be sitting on my couch watching the game in my own neuroses.
Yeah.
Right. What mistake did I make? I let somebody talk me into going to a Super Bowl party.
Right.
And they were like, listen, man, the Falcons are in the Super Bowl. They're unbelievable. You got to be around your friends. You got to be around some people. Come on, come to the party. Come to the party.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the party, most miserable experience of my life.
Because those are the ways they get you, right? It's just like you don't know when this is going to happen again. Same thing. Like it's like when Penn State played USC in the Rose Bowl. I had a ton of people over at the house, and actually, like if he's listening, Mario got super mad at me. He's like, "Bro, I don't know if I want this to happen. Like, I don't know if we should watch it with people." And I'm like, "Man, who knows when we're gonna get back? Let's do it. It's gonna be a great time." We're up by 14 in the fourth.
And then Sam Darnold happens.
Yeah, everyone's vibing. It's an awesome night, and then everything gets ruined in the next 5
minutes.
minutes.
Imagine having a Lego firefighter ruin your night. That's tough. But no, I see with bowl games, especially if they're like not a college football playoff, I'll watch that with people. I don't, because it's a bowl game.
For sure.
You know, like I watched the Sugar Bowl against Texas with some people, and it's like it's a bowl game, and especially with like the opt-outs now, where it's like a lot of the good players don't play in them.
Yeah,
I'm not overly concerned about a bowl game. With a bowl game, all I'm looking for like the players who hadn't played a lot that year who start getting some playing time in the bowl game. I'll watch for that, but I'm not overly concerned with the final outcome of that because it doesn't matter, right? Like Texas beat Georgia in that Sugar Bowl, and then I don't even think they made it. They might have finished second or third in their division the next year after Sam Ehlinger was like, "We're back." Right. So like that, I'm not worried about. But
those are cursed words anyway.
I say we say all of that going back to PJ making a very true statement that in a crucial regular season game, which had y'all won that, Penn State probably goes to the Big Ten championship game. That year probably goes to the college football playoff. What was this, 2018?
That was 2017 easily, and I'm right there with you on like the teams that should beat you or are at least as good as you, not being as mad. But actually, the one that like I always go back to and had me walking around the house like nervously mad and angry after was the next week after Ohio State comes back and beats us. But Penn State, Michigan State, we lose to Michigan State the next week with like Ben. Whatever his name was, I don't even know. But it was terrible. It was like a 3-hour rain delay, come out just flat as ever. But yeah,
well, I'm trying to get
in one of those games.
I'm trying to get to my sin,
college
PJ.
Football playoff.
I'm trying to talk about my sin that I committed.
Oh no.
Ohio State, Penn State, winner of that game goes to the conference championship game more likely than not, wins the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And Penn State theoretically then goes to the college football playoff for the first time ever, right? Penn State was handling Ohio State, like running the football on them, playing amazing defense. Ohio State had nothing for them. I think I remember the exact text. I said, "You guys look strong."
Yeah,
because that's Penn State looks strong. And so I texted PJ. I said, "You guys look strong." They were wearing their white classic uniforms. Ohio State was wearing the weird gray camo uniforms, and Penn State was just handing it to them.
28-10 in the third.
Yeah, and I said, "You guys look strong." Literally, as soon as I hit that text, JT Barrett just starts leading Ohio State on a furious comeback. What was the final score of the game? Like 39-38?
Yep.
Yeah, 39-38, furious comeback. And I was like, I'm the worst.
I think there are tears in PJ's eyes.
Yeah, I'm literally the worst person. And so I committed that sin. Did you text me during the national championship or the SEC championship? I think it was the SEC championship.
I think it was.
Yeah,
because I knew not to. I knew not to during the
2018. Georgia, Alabama. Georgia handling Alabama in the SEC championship game. DeAndre Swift running through people, scoring the touchdown. Jake Fromm throwing that dime to Riley Ridley in the corner of the end zone, right? Georgia's up big. They don't have anything. I think Richard LeCount had a pick against Tua in that game, right? Up big. Get a text from PJ and a text from our former friend, Cody Queen. He's still my friend. He's still my friend. But no, I get a text from PJ and Cody, both basically saying the same thing, like, congrats, like, unbelievable performance so far.
I wonder if I can find it at some point, like during the break, because
I got the 6-month delete thing on my messages.
Oh, okay.
To save memory.
I'm very odd with I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, I knew not to text you the same thing. So like that's my thing. Yeah. I knew what you had said to me before, so I'm like, all right, I got to change it, but I'm also not going to say like, "Hey, great win," because like I knew that. So I tried to make it as like
as soon as I got those texts, I dropped the most like vulgar, like M bleepers like ever when I got those text messages from them, because like I was so mad because I knew it was going to happen. Like, being an Atlanta sports fan, I should have known better than to send you the text message. But being like an Atlanta and Georgia sports fan, you don't accept a win until there's double zeros or triple zeros on the clock, right? And so it's like in the third quarter, and I'm like, because I'm already on edge, and you guys send me those messages, and it was over. And then they put Jalen Hurts in, and Georgia couldn't tackle Jalen Hurts, and you lose that game.
But it's like you feel the same way, right? Like you did with the Penn State-Ohio State game. It was to a point where it's like, all right, they're not. I waited. Like the first half was fantastic.
There's never a point, PJ, when it's safe.
Like, and I learned that for sure. But like the first half, I'm like, man, they look great. I'm not gonna do it. Like, it's fine. I'm not gonna contact him at all. And then it got to a point where I was finally like, there is no way. Like, I think even Jalen Hurts had already came in, and I was like, oh, they haven't had a successful drive yet.
A backup Alabama quarterback coming into the game. What can go wrong?
Yeah. Quite a bit, apparently.
A lot. A lot can go wrong. That's why if you're a Georgia fan, you should be scouting whoever the backup is for Alabama this year, because it ain't Bryce Young that's going to beat you. It'll be that guy.
Yeah. Most likely.
Pain. But the nicest text I've ever gotten here was, like, and the most like sincere, was the first text I got after the national championship in 2017. As I'm just like sitting there on my floor, because I've kicked my chair.
Understandable.
Because who runs cover 2 in that situation? But first text I got was from BJ. 2 words: "You okay?"
Yeah. Aww. Yeah. See, at that point, that's why I was like, I don't know what to. I'm like, I'm gonna make it worse if I text that. I'm just gonna leave him be. Gonna leave him be.
And 2017 was tough because you have that, and then you have like the Falcons losing in Philly when Keanu Neal decided to knee the ball instead of catch it.
Yeah.
And that was tough.
I can imagine.
That was tough. We'll come back and talk about happier things, like the 2 games under 500 Atlanta Braves, who have a big doubleheader coming up with the New York Metropolitans a little bit later this afternoon. We'll dive into that when we come back right here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Ursery, PJ Zuko, and Southern Brit with you here on this Monday afternoon. If you missed any portion of our SEC Media Days coverage, you can listen to it all on SoundCloud, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Just look for ESPN Coastal. And right now at the Uniform Source, they have a huge back-to-school sale going on. Buy 4 uniforms, get 1 free. Heard our good friend Javante Middleton, now one of the faces of the Uniform Source out there. And I don't know if you guys saw this, Savannah Bananas taking name, image, and likeness very literally. They now have some of their players, and they're putting their faces just on the uniforms and selling those uniforms. So all kinds of fun name, image, and likeness stuff going on out there. But sticking with baseball, huge doubleheader coming up this afternoon for the Atlanta Braves. Big 5-game series against the division-leading New York Mets. You split a series with the Phillies, 5 games back. So it's one of those weird things, right? Because you want to say this is a season-defining series, but there's also a distinct chance you win 3 out of 5 and you gain a game. You just pick up 1 game, and so you're 4 games back. So I guess we do buy, sell, hold. I'm holding on the fact that this is a season. Let's do that. We'll go around, go buy, sell, hold. Is this a season-defining series for the Braves? Because I'm going to hold because the Braves are a 500 baseball team. So if they go 2-3, then they're 6 games back. If they go 3-2, they're 4 games back. And I guess if they go 4-1, they're 3 games back. Like that's the most you can hope for. So there's a whole lot of different questions in there. So we'll go around. Southern, buy, sell, or hold. This is a season-defining series for the Atlanta Braves.
I'm gonna have to say hold as well. I think both teams have been playing inconsistently, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, so I'm a hold.
Hold, all right, fair. She's like, I'm not going to say anything positive, but I also don't want to say anything negative. I'll go right in the middle. PJ, buy, sell, hold, season-defining series for the Braves.
Well, I don't know, man. I think either way, you're probably.
But if you get swept, it's a season-defining series because your season's over. You'll be 10 games back.
Yeah. No, so true. And
if you sweep them, you're tied.
I'll buy it. You know what? I'll buy it because I'm always holding on everything, right? And just be patient, whatever. Buy it because, like you just said, get swept. That's a problem. Your season's basically over. Good luck trying to make that up.
But if you sweep them, you're tied.
Exactly.
For the division lead.
You go all the way back, and you're ready to go. You're feeling good. You just swept the division leaders. Maybe that's the momentum you need to pull out a stretch where you not only win those 5, maybe you win the 7 and 8 and even build your lead. Yeah, or you go in and it's just like the rest of the season. You go 2-3 or 3-2, and you're right back where you were before. But I'll buy it because I think for a long, long time with this team, we've all been holding everything because that's all you can do.
This team literally is a hold because it's at 500.
Yeah, because they've been 500 all year and been very.
Well, actually,
just
they haven't.
Under 500.
They've been to 500 like once this year, and then the other times they've been like teetering just below it.
Right. At some point, you got to
driving Cam crazy.
Man, yeah, at some
point,
point,
have gray hair soon.
You got to put all your chips in and say, "Let's go, let's do this thing." And I think that's got to be now for the Braves. So I'll go ahead and buy that because I'm just sick of seeing the same thing. I'm just sick of telling it's going to come at some point. We'll see. Because guess what? When you tell yourself that with certain teams, it never changes. And at the end of the season, you're 2 games
This has been the therapy couch for PJ Zuko this afternoon. All right, Cam, buy, sell, hold, but I'm going to switch it up on you. I need it quick. Buy, sell, hold. The Braves get over 500 in this series. Sell. Cam selling. That's fair. Well, game 1, you have Kyle Mueller going up against Marcus Stroman. Mueller 1-3 on the season, but with a 3.2 ERA. I'm not putting too much stock into what we saw yesterday from the Braves offense for the simple fact that Aaron Nola owns the Atlanta Braves. I think career, they have a 2.29 ERA against Aaron Nola. He's one of the more underrated, I think, aces in baseball. Maybe he's just an ace against the Atlanta Braves, and my opinions are skewed because he consistently dominates the Braves. We have not heard who the Mets will try out there for their pitcher tonight. It will be Bryce Wilson for the Atlanta Braves, who had a outing to forget in his last appearance for the Braves. So Bryce Wilson versus undecided coming up tonight in the nightcap. And then you have 3 more games against the New York Mets there in New York. So a huge series coming up for the Atlanta Braves. Freddie Freeman has been on fire. Hopefully him and Ozzie Albies can carry this offense. I think it's a pretty good 1-2-3 there with Jock Peterson, Ozzie Albies, and Freddie Freeman. And then the back end has been better. So listen, you blew the Phillies out the night before. Then you ran into a guy that kind of has your number. I'm not going the BJ Bennett route where he says, oh, you scored 15 runs, so the market correction came, so you only scored 1 run. I'm not doing the BJ Bennett there. I think you had one guy's number, the other guy had your number. I think that's where we're at there. But again,
Tukey goes out and pitches really well last night too.
Tukey's stock's going through the roof. Tukey's been unbelievable the last couple of outings there. He had been really good in AAA leading up to his first couple of appearances here. So I think you're feeling pretty strong, and now you're just waiting for Huascar Ynoa to get back, and all of a sudden, I think Bryce Wilson, probably the odd man out at that point, probably go Charlie Morton, Drew Smiley, who hasn't been bad. We'll have to see what's going on with that left knee soreness. But Drew Smiley, Max Fried, Ian Anderson, we still waiting to hear on him. Hopefully you get him back soon. So Morton, Smiley, Max Fried, Tukey?
Yeah.
And then Huascar Ynoa whenever he comes back. So,
pretty solid.
Not bad there going down this final stretch for the Atlanta Braves. We've got to take a quick break, though. We'll come back and get you ready for 3 and Out after this. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Southern, you said you've been watching a lot of weird sports in the Olympics. What has been your new favorite sport to consume in the Olympics? Because I was hyped last night watching the U.S. softball team walk off Japan. I mean, walk-off home run, that was fire. But, like, you've been watching some of the weirder sports.
Right. I've been watching more of the weird sports that I'm not used to seeing. Most people aren't used to seeing, like rafting. Going down.
The whitewater rafting, yeah.
Yeah, like they were doing some spins. I'm definitely not using any sports grammatically correct terms.
It's fair.
But
no problem.
It was fascinating to me. And
we
now
are
jump
very
into
rarely
raft and
grammatically
try to
correct.
do it and flip myself over, I'm sure.
I think the sport that I've watched that seems like it would be the most difficult, like, first of all, I got to get this out here. Speed walking, you get the hell out of here. It's jogging. It's
Are you
jogging.
kidding me? That just made me upset.
It's jogging.
Have you ever tried to speed walk?
Yeah, I like.
Have you ever watched your legs look like jello?
But if you like legitimately speed walk, sure. But watch the guys and the girls speed walking. They're jogging. It's jogging. All right. And who's out there actually enforcing that their knees aren't bending? All right. It's jogging. So speed walking. I'm going to say it. You can get the hell out of here. But the sport I think that looks brutal is water polo. I mean, that's like you're treading water and you're like having to box somebody out while you tread water.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts to me.
I'll say that we were watching, but before the show started, and while I think it's insanely impressive, we were talking about the energy they were expending, trying to do everything too. That gave me some like severe anxiety because if you watch, like, not the people with the ball or whatever it is, if you watch the people in the middle that you said are like boxing out and stuff, or when the ball does go in the center, they're like drowning each other, man. Like straight up. And the refs are like, hey, don't kill that person. Let them go. I'm like, dude, what in the world? Yeah. So that was, I don't know. I got to watch that in like spurts. I can't just sit down and watch 45 minutes of water polo.
It's a lot, but again, we'll dive into the men's basketball tomorrow because we don't have enough time here to dive into all that is wrong there. But 3 and Out coming up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas dive into the rankings or media voting, for the ACC and the SEC. That's out. Georgia Tech receiving a first place vote in the ACC and also a vote to win the ACC there. So we'll dive into that. Do the Yellow Jackets stand a chance in the ACC? We'll dive into all that next coming up on 3 and Out.